How we doing, everybody? And welcome back to another episode of Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trade. It is Monday. The Brewers just finished up the regular season there, fittingly, with a series win over the Cubs, knocked them right out of the postseason. That's what we love to see. Brewers series win over the Cubs. We're going to be recapping that series, and then we're also going to be talking about the wild card series because it was revealed who the Brewers would have in the wild card. We're going to be talking about that, and then we're going to be looking into some keys of that series, pitching, probables, what we expect to see. Get into a little bit. We'll get into a little bit more tomorrow, leading up into the ball game there. We'll know more about who is going to be the starter by tomorrow. So, and then we're going to get into a little bit of Bucks. Forgot about it. We ran a little bit long. My mind starts to space, and I forgot about talking about the Bucks. So we're going to talk about the Bucks on this one. I promise. I promise for all you Bucks fans out there, we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about the Bucks. We're going to talk a little bit of Packers, and then we're going to look at the Badgers. Some breaking news, I would think you would say, with the Badgers football team. Didn't have a game, but there is some news out there with the Badgers and one of the coaches. So right away, we'll leave that in suspense. We're going to jump into the Brewers. And the Brewers, looking at this series, won it 2 games out of 3, took the opening game 4-3. That was the real nail in the coffin for this Cubs team. They needed a lot to happen after this loss. Brewers took it in extras there in 10 on a walk-off by Carlos Santana. Caleb Boushley made his debut for the Brewers in that one. We'll start with the pitchers in this one. Colin Ray started it for the Brewers. 5 innings, 2 hits, 0 earned runs, 6 Ks. People can say what they want to say about Colin Ray. All season long, he has done what is expected out of him. Nobody brought Colin Ray up and into this rotation and said, Colin Ray, please be the ace of this pitching staff. Please replace Brandon Woodruff when he's hurt. Nobody expected that. Not a single person. And if you did, you're nuts. Colin Ray has filled in above what was expected out of him. We did not expect Colin Ray to be this productive for this Brewers team. And, yes, he's had his rough outings, but he's also had some solid outings for the Brewers. He had solid outings against some pretty darn good teams. Colin Ray has went above and beyond for this Brewers team, and I think he deserves a little bit more recognition than what fans want to give him. You look at what the Brewers have done this year with the pitching staff. Woodruff gets hurt, and then you have Ashby's been on the shelf all year long. Hauser was hurt to start the year. So you look at this pitching staff. Wade Miley's been out at times. And you get guys like Colin Ray and even a guy like Julio Teheran, DFA'd. Julio Teheran deserves a lot more props than what he was given. Julio Teheran came to the Brewers and started out phenomenal, went through a struggle, got hurt, and then he was out for a little bit. But all these guys have, at one point this year, fulfilled a role for the Brewers and went above and beyond in that role. What was expected of them. When you brought in Julio Teheran, he hadn't been a successful major league pitcher in years. And you brought him in, and right away, he was, I wouldn't say dominant, but a pretty darn good starter. Dominant's a stretch, but pretty darn good. He got outs. That's what you needed. He got you 5-6 innings a game. That's all that you needed out of Julio Teheran, and that's what he did. And that's what Colin Ray has done for the Brewers this year. When it's not a guy like Woodruff, Burns, Peralta, even a guy like Wade Miley on the mound, it's the back end guys. Julio Teheran, Colin Ray. Hauser's had some pretty good outings for the Brewers. The Brewers have relied on iffy starters to give them starts, and they have achieved. And I just wanted to start that by giving props to Colin Ray. I don't know if he'll get on the postseason roster. I would expect him maybe to come out of the bullpen for the Brewers. But if he doesn't end up on the postseason roster, he is a free agent come this winter. I just want to shout it out now. Props to him for this season. I thought he pitched above and beyond what was expected out of him. So that's just how I wanted to start it there. So he had the 5 innings pitched. Then Bryce Wilson came in for an inning, 1 hit and 1 strikeout. Clayton Andrews, an inning and 2/3, 2 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, and 2 strikeouts. And Caleb Boushley, 2 1/3 innings, 1 hit, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, gave up a home run. In his outing, he pitched himself into some dicey situations, and Counsell let it ride. He let it ride, and he got out of those situations. And I thought that was the most impressive part, was the poise that he had that he pitched himself into trouble and he was able to get out of it. Doesn't have the most dominating stuff in the world, but he knew what he had to do, and he did it. That's plain and simple. He pitched great in his debut for the Brewers. I wouldn't take anything against what he did out there. He ran into some trouble. He got out of it. He gave up 1 earned run in his outing. So be it. That happens. That happens. Looking at his ERA down at the AAA level, I'm surprised it was only a run. So, and it was awesome to see a Wisconsin guy, UW Lacrosse, get in there and make his major league debut for the Brewers, nonetheless. So great to see that out of Caleb Boushley here. Looking at the lineup for the Brewers in this ball game, Yelich started in left. 1 for 3 night for Yelich, 1 for 5 from Contreras. He was pinch ran for Perkins. Santana, 2 for 5 on the night there. He had the big walk-off, 3 RBIs for Santana. Frelick, 0 for 4 nights. Adames, 1 for 3. Donaldson, 0 for 3. Mitchell went 0 for 3 in this one with a walk. And Caratini, 2 for 4 on the night. Terang went 1 for 3 for the Brewers in this one. So good to see some of these Brewers hitters starting to step up a little bit, getting closer to postseason time, especially your Adames. Adames had a decent weekend here, and that's good to see leading up into a wild card series where the Brewers might need all the bats they can get. Looking at the Cubs in this one, Kyle Hendricks started it for the Cubs. 4 1/3 inning, 3 earned runs, 5 hits, 2 strikeouts in this one for him, 3 walks. Merriweather then came in an inning and 2/3 and 2 strikeouts. Smiley for an inning, 1 hit and 1 strikeout. Alzolay came in then for an inning, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. Letter Jr. for 2/3 of an inning, 1 hit and 1 walk. And then Kuz came in for a third of an inning and gave up that walk-off double to Carlos Santana. Brewers held down the Cubs there on offense. 6 hits in total for the Cubs. Tuchman had a hit for him. So did Ian Happ. Suzuki had a hit. Caldiero had a hit for him. And Morel actually went 2 for 3 on the night for the Cubs. So the Cubs in that one, Brewers held them in check. 8 hits for the Brewers, 6 for the Cubs in that ball game in 10 innings. Looking towards Saturday, sorry, I had some trouble with the mic there. Saturday for the Cubs and Brewers, 10-6 was the final. The Cubbies won it in regulation this time. No extra innings for this one. Cubs started out hot. 6 runs in the top of the first against Eric Lauer. The Brewers, though, they battled back. Put up 3 in the bottom of the first, put up 3 in the bottom of the second inning to make it a 6-6 game until the fourth, when the Cubbies exploded then for 2 runs in the fourth, 1 in the fifth, and 1 in the sixth. And that was the put-away punch. All that the Cubs needed in this ball game. Looking at the box in this one for the Brewers, Eric Lauer, 8 earned runs on the game, 9 hits, 4 innings pitched, 2 strikeouts, 4 walks, 3 home runs. Eric Lauer has just not been able to get back to, and he hasn't been able to get the ball on the ground. He relies on that ground ball if he's going to get outs. He's not a big strikeout guy. He's not a we're going to get fly ball outs. He needs the ground ball. This season has not been it for Eric Lauer. Maybe he can hit the reset button and he can figure something out and come back stronger. Well, that's a wait and see kind of thing. But as of right now, Eric Lauer has been struggling, and it showed in this start there against the Cubs. McGill then came in for an inning, 2 hits, 1 earned run, and 2 strikeouts. Uribe then came in for an inning, 1 hit, 1 earned run, 2 walks, and a strikeout. Milner then came in, cleaned up the mess a little bit, 1 inning, 1 hit, and 1 strikeout. Pampas for an inning then and a strikeout, and Devin Williams came in for an inning and 2 strikeouts. Good to see Pampas starting to have some clean innings again, starting to avoid giving up a couple hits here and there, getting himself into pressure situations. Good to see leading up into the playoffs when you don't want to be warming up Devin Williams in the 8th because Pampas can't get through it. So good to see this Brewers bullpen starting to straighten themselves out, getting towards the playoffs here. Looking at the lineup for the Brewers in this one. In this game, Canna went 1 for 5 for the Brewers. Contreras 2 for 4. Santana 1 for 2. He had a home run in this one, 2 walks. Tellez then came in late, 0 for 1 effort from Tellez. 3 for 5 from Adames. That was great to see out of Willie, a 3 for 5 night. Donaldson 0 for 4, Terang 0 for 1, Tyrone Taylor 1 for 5, Caratini went 2 for 5 in this ball game. Monasterio started at second, moved over to third. He was 1 for 4 on this ball game. And Blake Perkins had a big home run for the Brewers. He was 1 for 3. What I did not understand, and I hope it doesn't roll into the playoffs, is Craig Counsell's lack of using Andrew Monasterio in this lineup. He is better. He's a better hitter than Terang, and he's a better hitter than Donaldson. I can tell you that. And he's got just as good of. I would take him at third just as much as I would take Donaldson. So for Monasterio, if he's on the bench in these playoff games and we have Donaldson and Terang out there, I will understand Terang for his defense. Donaldson has no place out there on that field over Monasterio. Personal opinion, you can agree with me if you want, you can disagree if you want. But if you look at the stats of this season, Monasterio has played himself to getting a spot on the postseason roster. Josh Donaldson has played himself to I can deliver to the clubhouse the burgers and french fries that you want after this ball game. That's the difference of the stats right now. I am not completely hating on Josh Donaldson in this scenario. It sounds like it. But Donaldson has a place. It's called on the bench for the Brewers. He would be a great bench player for the Brewers. Add thump, add experience coming in pressure situations. If you need a pinch hitter, Monasterio deserves and I believe is better than Donaldson and deserves that third base spot come playoff time. That's all I got to say on that scenario right there. Looking at the Cubs in this one, pitching-wise, Wick started it for the Cubs, an inning and two-thirds, 6 earned runs, 6 hits, 1 strikeout, 2 home runs given up. Wisniewski, an inning and two-thirds, 1 hit, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. Assad for an inning and two-thirds, 2 hits, and 4 strikeouts. And Talion came in then for 4 innings, 3 hits, and 1 walk, 3 strikeouts for Talion in this one. Looking at the hitting for the Cubs, Morel had a pretty good series for the Cubs here. 2 for 5 on Saturday. Suzuki 1 for 4. Happ 2 for 4. Bellinger 1 for 4 tonight. Looking down the line here, Swanson and Ofer. Gomes 1 for 3. He had a grand slam in this one in the first. Yamir Caldiero, he was 2 for 5 in this one. Wisdom 1 for 5. And Canario went 3 for 5 for the Cubbies in this ball game. So the Brewers lost game 2, 10-6. But that didn't matter because game 3 of the series here, to finish out the regular season, the Brewers take it 4-0. A big first inning for the Brewers. 3 runs in the first would prove to be the difference in this ball game. Well, technically a run would have proved to be the difference in this one. We'll start with the Cubs in this ball game. Smiley got the start for the Cubs. He went a third of an inning, 3 earned runs, 2 hits, 3 walks. Little then came in for an inning and two-thirds. He gave up 1 walk and 4 strikeouts. Palencia then came in for the Cubbies there. 2 innings pitched, 2 hits, and 4 strikeouts. Duffy for 2 innings, 1 hit, 1 earned run, 3 strikeouts, and a home run given up. Tyrone Taylor took him deep to left. And Green then finished it out. 2 innings, 1 hit, and 2 strikeouts in this one. Looking at the lineup for the Cubs there, Morale continued to be hot in this series, 2 for 4. Caldiero, 1 for 4. Tuchman, 1 for 3 in this one. Wisdom, 1 for 4. And that was about it for hitting for the Cubs. 5 hits in total for the Cubs in this one. 8 strikeouts by the Brewers pitching staff. Looking at the Brewers, Hauser, a great outing from Hauser there to finish out the regular season. 5 innings, 3 hits, no earned runs, 2 walks, and 5 strikeouts. Chafin then for an inning and a third, 1 hit. And then Jansen Junk came in to finish it for the Brewers. Called up today. He went at 2 2/3 innings, 1 hit, and 3 strikeouts in this one. So a good outing from the Brewers pitching staff there between Junk, Chafin, and Hauser. Looking at the hitting for the Brewers, Yelich 1 for 2 in this one before he was lifted for Blake Perkins. Contreras 1 for 2. Caratini 1 for 1 in this ball game. Contreras was lifted for Caratini. Santana 0 for 3 effort. Frelick then came in, drew a walk in his plate appearance. Canna 1 for 3 in this ball game. Tellez then came in as a pinch hitter. Adames went 1 for 2 in this ball game. Adames had a pretty good weekend. Monasterio then was a defensive replacement for him. Donaldson 0 for 3 in this ball game. Mitchell went 0 for 3 with an RBI. He had a big sac fly for the Brewers in that first. Tyrone Taylor 1 for 4 with that home run, and Terang 0 for 3 on the ball game there. So the Brewers finished out the regular season with a win, and that's what we wanted to see. But the rest of the league, how did it shake out? Looking at some of the games that affected the wild card race, the Marlins and D-backs were battling for that last wild card spot, or not for the last wild card spot. Who was going to get the 5? Who was going to get the 6? The Diamondbacks needed to win. They needed the Marlins to lose. The Marlins, they just needed the Diamondbacks to lose, and they were going to get that 5. Pirates beat the Marlins 3-0, set the table for the Diamondbacks, who lost to the Astros 8-1. The Astros clinched. We're going to get into the full bracket, but the Astros clinched the AL West with that win because the Texas Rangers lost to the Mariners, who were they're not making the playoffs this year. Let's go with that. Mariners are not making the playoffs. They did not get in as a wild card. Rangers will get in as the wild card instead. They did beat the Rangers though 1-0, which then made the Astros the second seed in the playoffs there in the AL. To round it out there, the Cardinals took care of the Reds 4-3 in the last game there of the season. The Phillies beat the Mets 9-1. The Braves lost to the Nationals 10-9, resting just about everybody. Looking around the scoreboard, the Tampa Bay Rays beat the Blue Jays 12-8. And some other games, Orioles lost to the Red Sox 6-1. Dodgers beat the Giants 5-2. That is about it for the wild card picture. But we're going to jump into and just check out the playoff schedule. As we know, the Brewers got the 3 seed. Looking at it right here, let's see if we can find the bracket. They're just showing me a bunch of stuff here. Looking at the bracket here, in the NL, the Braves got the 1, the Dodgers got the 2, the Brewers got the 3, the Phillies got the 4, the Marlins got the 5, and the Diamondbacks got the 6. Looking over at the AL, Baltimore Orioles got the 1, Houston got the 2, the 3 seed belongs to the Twins, the 4 seed belongs to the Tampa Bay Rays. Number 5 is the Texas Rangers, and the Blue Jays came in that 6th spot. If I had to predict the wild card series, I'm going with my Brewers. They're going to take care of business against the D-backs. Then we are looking at Phillies Marlins. I think the Phillies are going to outgun them in that series. I got the Phillies. Looking at the AL side of it, I think I have the Tampa Bay Rays taking that series and getting a date with the Baltimore Orioles, AL East showdown. And then in that top half, I have the Blue Jays going to be squaring up with the Houston Astros there. That could very well happen right there. We're going to get into just the Brewers now, though. I just wanted to cover the playoff schedule there, but I want to jump into the Brewers. And they will be facing the Diamondbacks, like I said. That is going to be a 6:08 start on Tuesday. No probables have been thrown out yet for this series, but looking at the Diamondbacks, I did see that Gallen pitched Friday and Merrill Kelly pitched Saturday. So 4 days of rest puts them at Wednesday, Thursday, unless they pitch them on 3 days of rest. I'm going to assume that they're not going to pitch them on short rest. If they do, hopefully the Brewers can take advantage and they don't have their best stuff. But I would assume we're going to see a third starter in this series against the Diamondbacks. Who that's going to be, I'm not sure. We're going to avoid Nelson's not going to be pitching in this one. I'm not sure who the Diamondbacks will throw out there. Maybe a bullpen game to start out the wild card series. We've seen crazier stuff. I'm not sure what the Diamondbacks will have up their sleeve in this one, but I don't expect it to be anywhere easy. I think whether you get Gallen, Merrill Kelly, or you get a bullpen game against the Diamondbacks, they're going to come out swinging. This is a young lineup, a very good hitting young lineup, and they're going to come out swinging on you, and you got to be ready for every punch. You got to be able to answer the punches that they throw at you come postseason time here. Looking at some of their top hitters on their, you got to deal with guys like Corbin Carroll, Starling Marte, Lourdes Gurriel, and Christian Walker in this lineup for them. Walker's the big home run hitter, 33 home runs for him. Carroll's got 25, and Ketel Marte has got 25 on the season. Gurriel is sitting at 24. So this Diamondbacks team, they can hit. We know they can hit. And they have a decent pitching staff to go along with it. Merrill, Kelly, and Gallen both coming in there with below 350 ERAs right now. Gallen's actually sitting at 17 wins on the season for him. This is a huge series for the Brewers. Can the offense survive a series? Can the offense put up runs against some pretty good starters in a short stint? Because you're going to have back-to-back days where you're facing the Diamondbacks. This season, the Brewers went 2-4 against the Diamondbacks. Looking at them, I wanted to look back and see those series. When they went to Arizona, it was right after they won the series with St. Louis. It was early on in the season. It was on that West Coast road trip. Game 1, Miley was the starter. Looking at Game 2 of that series where the Brewers won 7-1, Burns started that one. And then Game 3 of that series, let's see here. That was Jansen. I believe Jansen Junko made the start for the Brewers. So the Brewers were they did not have Woodruff in that series. They did not have Peralta in that series. And the one win they got in that series was Corbin Burns. So that gives you a little breath of this could still happen. I feel good about it going into this one. But then you look at the second start for Burns against the Diamondbacks there this season. And Burns got roughed up for 7 earned runs in 5 innings. The second game of that series there, the Brewers actually won it 7-5. Looks like, who started that one for the Brewers? Colin Ray started that one for the Brewers, 4 earned runs. So as we're seeing in the regular season series against the Diamondbacks, they roughed up the Brewers pitching staff. Julio Teheran actually had the best outing against the Diamondbacks. He went 5 innings, no earned runs, 2 hits, and 3 strikeouts. Peguero actually got the loss in that series finale there, 5-1. So Brewers have their dominant guys. They're going to have their 1-2-3 punch with the big 3 coming into this series. Bullpen should be fully rested. It's going to rely, can the offense put up runs to back this pitching staff? I have faith that Burns, Woodruff, and Peralta can deal in this series. But can the offense, if you do face a guy like Merrill Kelly, or you get a guy like Zach Gallen in this series, can you put up runs? And can you take advantage of mistake pitches? Because every pitcher's got a mistake pitch. It's just a matter of if you can jump on it and make them pay for it. And that's going to be huge for the Brewers in this series. I do expect for pitching problems. We'll know more about it tomorrow. But I expect Burns game 1, Woodruff game 2, and Peralta game 3. If Craig Counsell has some crazy thought in his head where he's going to put Wade Miley game 1 or game 2, you can't put it past Craig. He's got some crazy ideas going on in his head. But I would assume to see Burns, Woodruff, and Peralta back to back to back. All the games are actually on ESPN too. So national TV for the Brewers once again. Hopefully start to get some recognition that they're a pretty good ball club. Unlikely how good they are record-wise, looking at stats, but this team is solid leading up into the playoffs, and they've been getting it done in unorthodox ways all season long and making it count when they have to. So I look for this to be a great series, and we're going to talk about it more tomorrow leading up into the game. But just wanted to dive into it a little bit today. But with that, we're going to jump over into the Bucks news because the Bucks made a trade. We didn't talk about it. Everybody knows about it by now. But the Bucks landed Damian Lillard in a trade with the Trailblazers. The trade happened last week. We just completely dissed on it because we were in the middle of baseball season and we just completely forgot to talk about it. But Damian Lillard is coming to Milwaukee in return. Trying to pull up the full trade here so I don't miss out a piece here. It was a 3-team swap. The Bucks got Damian Lillard from the Blazers. The Blazers got DeAndre Ayton from the Suns. Kamara from the Suns, Drew Holiday from the Bucks, a 2029 first-round pick from the Bucks, and 2 first-round pick swaps with the Bucks in 2028 and 2030. The Suns received Grayson Allen, Keon Johnson from the Blazers, Nasir Little from the Blazers, and Nurkic from the Blazers. So the Suns got pretty darn good in that. The Bucks got their point guard, the guy they think that can convince Giannis that we are trying to win a championship and we're going to center it around you and we're going to put pieces in Milwaukee for you. And the Blazers, they got their wish. They actually ended up, the deal worked for them because they ended up trading Drew Holiday back to the Celtics in a deal. We'll cover that one in a second here. The Bucks, looking at this deal, the Bucks came out with a great offensive weapon. A guy, when he's healthy and he gets hot, it's hard to beat his shoot. I mean, the guy can shoot it like no other. Steph. But besides Steph, he can shoot it like no other. He gets hot. It's hard to slow him down. The pick and roll with Giannis and Damian Lillard is going to be one to watch. The only thing that worries me with this deal, and don't get me wrong, love the deal, love that the Bucks are loading up. Drew Holiday meant a lot to the Bucks. He could score. I mean, we watched it. He could score. He might not be the dynamic threat that Damian Lillard is, but Holiday could score. But Holiday was an A-plus defender. Holiday, if you look back at that 2021 postseason run, the Brewers, he's still on baseball, the Bucks had in that playoffs, Drew Holiday was a huge part of that. Drew Holiday, you can look up highlight videos of the steals he had that changed some of those games. So I'm completely for the deal. I love Damian Lillard coming to Milwaukee. I just wonder if the Bucks have enough depth behind them. They did sign Cameron Payne today, yesterday, to help out in that backcourt. They got their backup point guard. But my worry is that you traded away defense for offense. Can Damian Lillard play enough defense for you to make up for what you lost in Drew Holiday? Drew Holiday, A-plus defender. Damian Lillard, A-plus scorer. Drew Holiday, you'd maybe rank him like a B-plus, maybe on a good day. I don't know. Drew Holiday he could score it. He could ring up buckets for you. He had some big buckets for the Bucks. That's all I have to say on the subject. Is that are the Bucks going to be an offensive-oriented team now where we're just trying to get buckets, we're trying to outgun teams, or are we going to slow it down like they had with Drew Holiday, where Holiday was an A-plus defender and was able to turn over some guys? Damian Lillard, not a terrible defender, but he's not like Drew Holiday. And now Holiday comes back to the Celtics in a deal, pairing him up with Jason Tatum and Brown. With that deal, the Celtics got a little bit better in there. Now the Bucks and the Celtics, they have a pretty big rivalry coming up now between these two teams. Now you have Damian Lillard coming over. Drew Holiday's now back in the East with the Celtics. Celtics got a little bit better. They did end up trading Robert Williams and Malcolm Brogdon went to the Blazers. A 2024 first-round pick via Golden State and a 2029 first-round pick is also heading to the Blazers. So the Blazers are loading up with young talent now, and they got a lot of picks to go along with it. Robert Williams, pair him along with DeAndre Ayton, and then you're going to have Malcolm Brogdon to go along with it. That's a pretty good combo that they're putting together there. I would think, though, that Malcolm Brogdon will be also flipped. I think he'll be another trade piece for the Blazers. Surprisingly, they aren't keeping any of these veterans on there to kind of work with the young core, but on the same token, if you can get something back in trade value, I understand it. So, Celtics got a little bit better with Drew Holiday. The Bucks got a little bit better, adding a piece like Damian Lillard to the team here. So the East is loading up, and now the Bucks are the favorites, and the Celtics are right behind them there for NBA title odds. and that's about all I wanted to cover with that. I just want to get my opinion on it out there. I love the trade. Just the Bucks traded an A-plus defender to get Damian Lillard. What are we going to see now out of the Bucks? That's what I'm waiting to see. I don't diss on the trade at all. I thought the Bucks did a pretty darn good job getting a piece to put around Giannis there. Just want to see what happens out of it. But with that, we're going to jump over into the Packers real quick. And we're going to talk. I was reading into a little bit and just seeing some overreactions to the game. And I agreed with some of them. Not overreactions, but I agreed with some of the takes that they had. The offense is trying to be too aggressive. And by too aggressive, the way that I take that is that this offense is, if you look back at the Lions game, and that whatever game that was, it wasn't really a game, but they were there. In that game, there was a lot of instances where Jordan Love was being pressured constantly. He was never able to have a clean pocket in that game. Instead of, let's go short routes, let's go screen passes, let's do slants. I mean, I used to play Madden. It was slants right up the middle all day long. Instead of going short, methodical, get the run game going, get the short pass game going, they kept trying to go long ball. They kept trying to go deep. I don't understand the play calls by them. They're not playing complementary football. This is far from complementary football. We're trying to play an air raid offense. I don't know if Luke Fickell talked to Matt LaFleur over the weekend, but the air raid offense is not working at Madison. Don't understand why it would work in Green Bay. The Packers are trying to be too aggressive with it instead of going short, methodical offenses that just work the ball down the field, get it slow. It's a slow process. You don't have to get it down there in 2 minutes. They put themselves in situations where they only have 2 minutes to score. Looking at the last 2 weeks, they put a run on the Lions, but they were going to have to score how many points in a matter of minutes. Looking at the Saints game, same thing. This Packers team needs to start going slower. They need to start working more methodical. They need to stay away from, we need to burn teams, and we just need to use our playmakers and get some short methodical routes open, and then we can make something happen. That's my take on it there for the aggressive offense. For the defense is a mess. The defense is nowhere near up to snuff. There isn't. I mean, you could say, okay, Campbell wasn't there and Jair Alexander isn't there. Yeah, those are two big pieces. But the Lions ran all over you. They didn't just, I mean, it wasn't like it was a slow moving, we're just going to get 1 yard at a time. It was 10 yards a crack. I mean, they were averaging, I don't even know what the actual number is, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was above 5. I mean, they were just cracking off the Packers like it was nothing. Nobody was touching them until they were in the secondary already. That's where this Packers team needs to be fixed. The mentality of this Packers defense, I don't know if Matt LaFleur has sat down with Joel Barry and really had a conversation, but they need to sit down, and if Joel Barry, he should be on the hot seat coming up into this Monday night game next week. He should be on the hot seat, and if he cannot put together a good game plan and this Packers team gets completely mutilated again, like against the Lions, Joel Barry needs to go, and the Packers need to find somebody else to take his spot. Plain and simple. There's no other way around it. Joel Barry has had too many chances, and he's failed this Packers team too many times. The schemes aren't there. His packages aren't there. He gets outcoached every single game. If Matt LaFleur won't do it, Gutekunst has got to walk in there and do it, because Matt LaFleur is, if he keeps Joel Barry on this coaching staff, is slowly screwing away any Packers chance in now and in the future to put something together. Other than that, another thing the Packers need to address is the offensive line. This offensive line for the Packers is terrible. Like I said, there wasn't a time in that Green Bay Lions game that Jordan Love had a clean pocket and was able to just step back, have a second, and throw. He was under duress the entire time, constantly moving, did not have a clean pocket to make or even step up and make a throw. You go against a good defense, I mean, I understand it, but you're going to have times with a clean pocket. There wasn't a clean pocket. Aiden Hutchinson was in Jordan Love's face more than Aiden Hutchinson was talking to anybody else. Aiden Hutchinson was a dog in this game, and the Packers had no answer. Something needs to change with Matt LaFleur and his play calling for this Packers team. Whether it's going, like I said, short methodical offense where you just dump it off and we can get short gains down the field, that's a chance. I mean, at times you're going to have to take a shot down the field. I get that. But if you can keep a defense on their toes, they're going to have to be honest. The Lions didn't have to be honest in this one. They could do whatever, whenever they wanted in this ball game, and that's where the Packers failed in this ball game. That's where Matt LaFleur failed this Packers team in this ball game against the Lions. But with that, that's enough about the Packers for the day. We're going to jump over into some Wisconsin news. Just a little bit here. It was reported that Wisconsin's defensive coordinator is a candidate for Michigan State's head coaching job. Mel Tucker was let go or fired by the Michigan State Spartans. And now it looks like Tressel can't put a defense together at Wisconsin, but apparently he can be the head coach at Michigan State, is on the candidates list for the Michigan State job. Along with Tressel, it looks like Mike Elko from Duke, Dan Enos from Arkansas, the offensive coordinator, Matt House, LSU's defensive coordinator, Charles Huff, Marshall's coach, Pat Narduzzi, Pitt's coach, and then, Tressel, Wisconsin defensive coordinator, is up for the job. Tressel can't put together a defense, but if he wants to leave, that'd be okay, because he will open up the door for Jimmy Leonard to come back to Wisconsin. Nothing would make this defense better than getting Jim Leonard back. But with that, that is about all I have for today. Like I said, we're going to be talking a lot more Brewers tomorrow because we're going to be leading up into that first game against the Diamondbacks there in the Wild Card Series. Got a day off today. We're going to be able to relax, sit back, maybe check out what else is on TV. I run out of things to watch when the Brewers are on, but I'll find something else to watch and get myself mentally ready to watch this Brewers team hopefully put on a run, knock on some wood there, put on a run in this postseason here. Got the Diamondbacks first, then you got a date with the Dodgers if you get past them. So can't wait to watch some postseason baseball. I'm excited. I know you guys are excited. It's going to be awesome. It has been great talking with you guys again. Thank you guys for listening. This has been Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. Thanks for listening. Deuces, Brew Crew.